Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. Good morning, Kelly. Good to have you here and joining us for our devotionals. It was great to be on that Emmaus walk with your husband. So, today is April 4th, 2025. We are looking at Proverbs chapter 4. And I'm going to look at the last three verses, 25 through 27. Proverbs 25 through 27. So, this last week I was at a recovery meeting, and I was listening to a young man who was at the meeting for the very first time, and he was relating his excitement about his newfound walk and the fact that he was on fire for God, and he was so excited. He was relating the fact that he needed to be aware that he needed to, and these are his words, follow the crooked path of following Christ instead of the straight, wide path that the devil set before him. And I understood what he was saying. He was saying that he needed to be focused on Christ and follow him, is what he was trying to say. But the depiction he was creating was, every time you run into an obstacle, look for a way around it. And I get it. I mean, if you're walking through a very thick woods, I had a piece of property when I met my wife, who, when I bought that property, it was completely overgrown. It was an old apple orchard that had completely overgrown for 20 years or more. And it had wild roses, and it had thick, just nasty stuff. You couldn't walk through it. It was horrible. I mean, when I bought the property, literally, the one deer trail that wound through it, even that, you got tore up walking through it. And people said, well, why would you buy that property? It's so horrible. But I knew the potential of it, right? And the reality was, I also followed the cleared land around it, followed the neighbor's property out and around, and got a look at the backside and got a good feel for what it was. And I knew what I was buying. It had a high ground, it had a low ground, it had a field. It was everything I wanted in a piece of property, except it didn't have a stream. That would have been topping on the whole thing. But as I bought the property, I realized if I want to get from the road to where I want to put the house, and from the house to where I want to put the barn and all the other things that I wanted to do on the property, I was going to have to go through this stuff. Now, the young man, he was talking about the fact that he had to find a way around all these things. And here's the problem. If you go around those things, you miss what God has for you in the middle of it. In Proverbs chapter 4, verses 25 through 27, Solomon says this: let your eyes look forward, fix your gaze straight ahead, carefully consider the path for your feet, and all your ways will be established. Don't turn to the right or the left. Keep your feet away from evil. You know, the reality is, we can find ways around all the struggles in our lives. We can. But that's not necessarily the way God is telling us to do things, is it? Everywhere in the Bible, it talks about the straight and narrow path. It also talks about that path being very difficult. When I bought that property, I needed to go in, straight in, at the one place where I could drive off the road, because there was a ditch in front of the property. But there was one place where there was not, and I could drive across that part. And I went in, and I started working my way in. and then clearing from there. And eventually, I got to the point where I had cleared out enough that I could bring the crew in and say, this is where I want the house. You're going to have to bulldoze, get the big trees out of here, all of this. And I was able to make a path all the way out to the field. From there, I was able to then go in to the rest of the property and start clearing things out. And by the time spring came the next year, when it was really wet out, I was able to go out and clear out most of the heavy thorns and briars and all of that in a different way. And I was able to clear the property and make it useful and beautiful. But I would have never been able to do that had I gone around it. I would have never even had the property in the first place had I gone and just saw that there was no way in and assumed that the only way to deal with that property was to go around it. What I'm telling you today is let your eyes look forward, fix your gaze straight ahead, carefully consider the path for your feet, and all your ways will be established. Don't turn to the right or the left. Keep your feet from evil. Look forward, look at God, keep moving forward. That's the point. That young man, he wanted and he was excited about his new journey, but he's going to need somebody to point him in the straight direction, the difficult, narrow path, instead of allowing him to run around all the obstacles in our lives. The reality is, guys, we move forward down the narrow path. It's going to be a straight line through that obstacle. The beauty of that is God's grace gives you the strength to clear that path. It's going to be difficult. The Christian life always is. And I don't know whoever started the idea that we were going to have everything easy if we accepted Jesus, because that's just not what Jesus promised. It will be difficult. But if you move forward, if you don't turn from the right or the left, if you keep your feet from evil, your way will be established. Go forward that way today. I love y'all. Hope you have a great day. God bless.